All right, let's be honest. The Millionaire Next Door, it's been sitting on your bookshelf, am I right? The one it's like sold millions of copies, everyone's got it.
Mm.
But when I actually sat down and read it, what really got me was how Stanley and Danko, they completely flipped the script on who we picture when we hear millionaire. Forget celebrities or those lottery winners. This is different.
Right, it's not about getting lucky overnight.
It's about your neighbor, the person you see every day and would never guess just by looking that they're a millionaire.
Exactly, and that's what makes the book so fascinating. It digs into the mindset, the actual habits of people who built their wealth quietly, consistently, over time.
And they jump right in with stories of guys like Mr. Bud, owns a ton of real estate, crazy valuable, but drives around in this beat-up old car. Or Johnny Lucas built this successful business, but no designer suits for him.
And they actually point out you're more likely to find a non-millionaire sporting a $1,000 suit.
So what's the deal with these invisible millionaires? What's the secret sauce they're not telling us?
It's not about looking the part. It's about this idea of playing good financial defense. They say most people focus on offense, meaning earning more, but they forget their defense.
So how you manage the money you've already got, saving, investing, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Think of it like building a fortress around your finances, not just trying to out-earn your last shopping spree.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. It's about strategy, not just how much you bring in.
And they even have this formula to show it. You multiply your age by your total pre-tax income, then divide by 10.
So if you're, say, 40 and making $100,000 a year.
That number, minus any inheritances, should be pretty close to your net worth.
So ideally around $400,000.
Yeah.
Got it. But then they take it even further, don't they?
That's how they figure out if you're a PA, a prodigious accumulator of wealth, or a UAW, an under-accumulator of wealth. Basically, are you ahead or behind others in your income bracket?
Wow. Okay, that's eye-opening. Even without doing the math, it makes you think twice about your own spending, Are you more caught up in keeping up appearances, or are you actually building wealth? It's one thing to talk about the numbers, but the book, it doesn't shy away from, the emotional side of money either.
Right. Not at all.
Like that idea that economic outpatient care,
Right.
it really got me thinking about the impact it can have, not just on your bank account, but on the whole family, the dynamics.
Absolutely. And it can even go the other way, too. They use this term economic inpatient care.
Oh, right, like when adult kids are so shielded from financial reality.
Yeah, they never really learn to stand on their own 2 feet financially.
Like that story, M's BPF. Her parents gave her this business.
But they were always there to bail her out.
And instead of it being this great thing, she's totally paralyzed by anything to do with money.
It's like they accidentally stifled her, even with the best of intentions.
It makes you wonder, are we really helping by always being the safety net? Or are we holding them back from really growing?
It's a tough balance for sure.
It is, and the book really makes you examine, what are your motivations? What are the long-term consequences of these financial decisions we make?
Exactly.
And speaking of long-term consequences, that story about Laura, she built this whole real estate career from scratch.
After going through some really tough times.
And it really hit home how our past, even the hard parts, they shape how we view money, how driven we are to build that security.
Absolutely. Our relationship with money is so personal, isn't it? Our upbringing, what we value, even our fears, it all plays a role.
And speaking of relationships, the book goes into this fascinating dynamic between affluent parents and their adult children.
It's not something you hear a lot about.
No, but it makes sense. It's got to come with its own set of worries, conflicts even.
Right. How do you talk about wealth with your kids without creating this sense of entitlement? It's a tough one.
Yeah, and the book tackles that head on, doesn't it?
It does. They talk about all these different approaches parents take, from being completely closed off to having these very open conversations.
One thing that really stuck with me was that warning about telling your kids about their inheritance too early.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like handing someone a medal before they've even run the race,
Exactly. It can really backfire.
It could totally undermine their motivation.
And it goes right back to that millionaire next door mentality.
They'd rather blend in than be flashy.
It's about that security, that independence, not showing off.
And that's such an important lesson to pass on, no matter how much money you have, right?
Absolutely. Teaching your kids about hard work, saving, making smart choices with their money. That's way more valuable than any inheritance.
Give them the tools to build their own wealth, their own independence.
Now, circling back to Dr. South for a second.
Yeah.
The book uses his story to show how those pitfalls of economic outpatient care They go beyond just the financial side of things.
Right, it's not just about the money.
It can create this sense of obligation, even resentment sometimes, and that can really strain relationships.
It's like that saying, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish.
You feed him for a lifetime.
Exactly. It's about empowering people, not creating dependence.
And that's what I think is so powerful about The Millionaire Next Door. It really makes you rethink your assumptions about wealth, about success, about what money really means.
It's not just about the dollars and cents. It's about values. It's about the choices we make every single day.
It's about realizing that true wealth, it's bigger than your bank account. It's that freedom to live a life that reflects what you believe in.
It's about building a life you don't need to escape from. Right.
Exactly. And you know what's interesting? The book found that a surprising number of millionaires, they're not CEOs or Wall Street hotshots. They're self-made business owners, and often in fields you might not expect, like, say, welding or dry cleaning.
No way. So much for that glamorous image.
Right. These are people who saw an opportunity, honed their skills, and built something successful through sheer hard work and determination.
That's inspiring no matter what your goals are.
It's about finding your niche, mastering it, and then using that to create your own success.
The book does acknowledge, though, that being an entrepreneur, it's not for everyone.
Of course not.
They talk about those self-employed professional careers, too. Doctors, lawyers, those sorts of fields.
Right. Those often offer that balance of earning potential and stability, which can be appealing, especially if you've ridden the roller coaster of running your own business.
So it's not always about chasing the absolute highest income, but finding that path that fits your goals, your risk tolerance, even your personality.
And speaking of fitting, one thing that really resonated with me was the importance they placed on finding a career you're passionate about.
Makes sense. If you love what you do, you're more likely to pour your heart into it.
Exactly. And that passion, it often translates into greater success and, yes, greater financial rewards, too.
It's about finding that sweet spot where your skills, your passions, and what the market needs, they all come together.
It might not happen overnight, but it's something to keep in mind.
Definitely something to think about. Now, this book was written a while back, and things change fast, especially in the financial world. Do you think its insights still hold up today?
It's a great question, and honestly, it's something I thought about a lot while reading. Technology is different, the economy is different, even the way we consume information.
It's a whole new world.
But here's the thing. Those core principles of building wealth, they haven't changed.
You mean like living within your means, saving consistently?
Exactly. Those are timeless. Investing for the long term.
Those principles hold true no matter what.
They transcend generations, they transcend economic ups and downs. Specific strategies, financial tools, those might change, but the underlying mindset, the behaviors that lead to wealth, those are constant.
So it's not about chasing the next hot stock tip or trying to get rich quick.
It's about building those solid habits that will serve you well over the long haul.
Habits that create true wealth. And I think that's what this book really highlights. It's not just about the size of your bank account.
It's about that freedom to make choices that align with what you believe in, to chase your dreams, to live a life with purpose.
A life that's rich in every sense of the word.
And speaking of rich lives, the book has a whole section on estate planning, how to pass on your wealth.
Oh, right. That's something people don't always like to talk about.
It can be a tough subject, but they emphasize how important it is to have those open conversations, to plan carefully, to avoid conflict down the line.
And to make sure your wealth is used how you want it to be.
Exactly. And they highlight the risks of just leaving it to chance or assuming your heirs will automatically know what to do.
It's not just about dividing the pie. It's about making sure they're equipped to handle it.
Exactly. Preparing them, educating them.
Teaching them about responsibility, about stewardship.
The book actually tells this story about Billy, who's expected to financially support his sisters, even after their father, who was quite wealthy, passed away.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
It's a cautionary tale about how good intentions can backfire if you haven't laid the groundwork.
It's about empowering your heirs to build their own lives, not making them dependent on what you leave behind.
Now, this might seem like a jump, but The Millionaire Next Door, it actually has a lot to say about today's digital world, even though it was written before the internet as we know it.
Interesting. How so?
Think about it. We have access to so much information now, so many financial tools, investment opportunities, right at our fingertips.
It's incredible, but also a little overwhelming sometimes.
Exactly. And that's where the book's message is more relevant than ever. It's about being smart, being discerning with all that information, knowing how to spot the scams, the get-rich-quick
Oh,
schemes.
for sure. Those are everywhere online
Exactly. And those core principles, living below your means, saving, investing wisely, those are even more important now.
because we're constantly being told to buy, buy, buy.
Right, to keep up, to have the latest and greatest.
It's about using technology to your advantage, automating your savings, tracking your spending.
Doing your research, but never forgetting those fundamental principles and that long-term vision.
And I think that's where that idea of financial independence becomes so crucial
Absolutely.
because the world is uncertain, things change so quickly.
Having that solid foundation, it gives you security, it gives you options.
It lets you weather the storms,
Now, speaking of storms, economic uncertainty, it's a fact of life.
unfortunately, yeah.
And The Millionaire Next Door, it has some really insightful advice for navigating those turbulent times.
Like what?
Well, they talk about the importance of keeping a long-term perspective. Economic cycles, they're natural, they happen.
So don't panic when things get rough,
Exactly. Avoid those emotional reactions. Don't make rash decisions based on fear.
because that can really hurt you in the long run.
They emphasize having a diversified portfolio, managing risk, and most importantly, sticking to your plan, even when things look bleak.
So ride out the storm.
Exactly, because history shows us downturns are usually followed by periods of growth.
It's about staying the course.
And that's another area where having a financial advisor you trust can be so helpful.
They can help you stay calm, make rational decisions,
Exactly, provide that guidance and support.
remind you of your long-term goals.
Now, one of the most powerful messages I took away from The Millionaire Next Door, it's the importance of mindset.
Interesting. How so?
It's not just about the mechanics of money, it's about our beliefs, our attitudes.
You mean how we think about money, wealth,
Mm.
our own ability to achieve our goals?
Exactly. The book talks about having a positive mindset, one that sees challenges as opportunities, not roadblocks.
So instead of focusing on what you don't have, you focus on what you can create.
Exactly. Shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset.
Because our thoughts, they really do shape our reality.
They do. And that means challenging those limiting beliefs, replacing negative self-talk with positive affirmations.
Surrounding yourself with people who support your dreams.
It's amazing how much of a difference that can make.
And while taking action is important, the book also emphasizes the role of patience.
Absolutely. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's easy to get discouraged when you don't see results overnight.
It's about trusting the process, celebrating those small victories along the way,
Every step counts.
and remembering building wealth, it takes time, discipline, consistency.
No get-rich-quick schemes.
Exactly. It's about making those smart choices day after day and letting them compound over time.
And that takes patience, perseverance, and a belief in yourself.
Now, we often hear about millionaires living these extravagant lifestyles.
Right, those over-the-top stories.
But The Millionaire Next Door, it challenges those stereotypes. It shows us that many millionaires, they're surprisingly frugal.
It's like they're living below their means on purpose, but they're actually millionaires.
Exactly. It's not about deprivation. It's about being intentional with their money. They're not trying to impress anyone. They're focused on building that security, that freedom.
And it seems like that frugality, it's almost like a point of pride for them.
Oh, absolutely. The book has all these anecdotes about millionaires who, like, clip coupons or drive their cars for years and years.
It's like they get a thrill out of getting a good deal.
Exactly. And they understand that a bargain is a bargain no matter how much money you have.
It's about being smart with your money, period.
And it frees them up to spend on the things that truly matter to them.
Experiences, relationships, giving back to their communities.
It's about aligning your spending with your values, not just with what society tells you to value.
And that sense of freedom, of autonomy, that's really at the heart of it all, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's about having the financial security to live life on your own terms.
Not being defined by your job or your debt.
Exactly. And a big part of that they emphasize is understanding the difference between income and wealth.
So what you earn versus what you own.
Exactly. And millionaires next door, they get this. They focus on building assets, things that generate income, not just relying on their salaries.
So even if they stopped working tomorrow.
They've got that financial cushion, those streams of income to support the lifestyle they want.
That's true freedom right there.
And that brings us to, I think, one of the most important messages of the entire book. True wealth, it's about so much more than just money.
It's about having the time, the freedom to actually enjoy your life, to pursue your passions.
To spend time with your loved ones, to give back, to make a difference.
To live a life of purpose, not just a life of possessions.
Exactly.
The Millionaire Next Door, it gives us a roadmap, but like we've been saying, it's not about following it exactly.
It's about taking those insights and figuring out what they mean for you, for your life.
What does a rich life look like to you? What truly matters?
And as you continue on your own journey, here's a final thought to ponder. If you achieved financial independence today, how would your life change? What would you do differently? What would you prioritize? It's something to think about.
It really is. The Millionaire Next Door, it's not just about money. It's about designing a life you love, a life that's both financially secure and deeply fulfilling. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for that rich life, whatever that looks like for you.